It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George in New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing all right. Got a busy show scheduled for you today. We may even open up the phone line, so if you've been waiting to call in with your questions, comments, concerns, or whatever, don't forget when I tell you, I'll give you the number, and we'll open up the lines. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Billy C's Triple G Canelo post-fight show. That's right. Approximately 6 minutes after the official announcement is made Saturday night. Make sure you tune it in right here, wherever you're watching or listening to the Billy C Show. And we will be going live with our post-fight thoughts, and then open up the phone lines and get all of your post-fight. This is something we do on a regular basis, and we get some great calls from all over the country and the world, as a matter of fact. So join in the reindeer games. Don't be Rudolph and be left out. You know what I'm talking about. Billy C's Triple G Canelo post-fight show Saturday night. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of it literally right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Now, look, if you want a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just run into me, not with your car. I mean, just if you happen to see me out at an event, just come on up. I usually have copies with me. Or if you just want to get a copy sent to you, I'll sign it. Just write what you want me to sign and just go to our website and click the book. You can't miss it. It's a big. You get the idea. It's on the front. Yeah, it's on the front page. Today's main topic, it's countdown week, man, for a fight that we've been looking forward to. We've been anticipating, and it's almost here. And, of course, I'm talking about Triple G Canelo. Yes, I believe that this fight should have taken place maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago, but I'm glad it's here. Great fighters do great things. They challenge themselves, and this is what we're getting from both of these fighters. Triple G Canelo will be a fight that will be remembered. You don't have to try to think about it. You don't have to, like who, none of his fights pop into your mind. But I'll tell you what, Triple G, Canelo, when you mention Triple G and Canelo, this fight is going to pop into your mind. And I will not be surprised if we end up at least with a rematch. Who knows? Maybe even a trilogy. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island, without any power, without any water, but with a smiling face that you won't be able to see because we got to get him on the cell phone. My man, Sal Rocky Senecola. How's the candles holding up? How's the candles holding up?
The candles, I'll tell you, wax on, wax off, man. I'll tell you, I'm running out of wax. I'll tell you, it's been an experience, and I'll tell you why. Last night, I tried most of the afternoon yesterday, and finally, at about 7 o'clock last night, I succeeded. But I tried all day yesterday, venturing out into my car to get that. I'm all the way on the north tip of the island. I mean, it's isolated. There's nothing, just a few residents up here, but that's it. And it's all woods, forest. It's unbelievable. It's like a jungle. And when I tried to drive and leave to go down to the pizzeria or get south, no matter what turn, no matter what road I took, trees crashing above this, waters, floods, everything. I couldn't exit. I tried traversing. I tried going back. I tried every which way. I was getting out of my car, lifted heavy trees and branches and just moving them, going around. And finally, at about 6 o'clock last night, I succeeded. I found a route, and I moved some trees, moved some brush, drove half up on this guy's lawn, and, and got my way around. Only to find, when I'm on the main road, while the power's out, you got humongous trees falling on the lines. So that wiped the power out. And but it was crazy. I felt like Neville in I Am Legend, trying to get back in time before dark, so I'd find my way. And I'm up here by myself. It's amazing. It really is. It's like isolation period plus.
It's a shame that that kind of stuff happens. And I remember where I am, believe it or not, we got hit with a hurricane several years back, Hurricane Irene. And I came to the conclusion, Sal, and I'm sure you can relate to this. If any of these little countries want to take over the United States, it's real simple. Just knock out all of our power and sit back, because in a week or so, we'll kill each other. I mean, people tell me they don't get ornery when they haven't taken a shower and they can't flush a toilet, and, they walk in to buy a candle, and instead of $1.99, it's $14 because of the gouging and all of this stuff. I mean, it's true. People, their whole personalities change when you can't just do the things we take for granted every day, like flush a toilet.
No, it's so funny you should say that. Just to take for granted. There is no palatable water. We have no water, zero. They say there was a news flash on Facebook that says it's not even safe. You can't even shower with the water that does come out if you have water. So it's a different mindset, really is. And there's no stores open, nothing's open, everything's boarded up. So today I'm anticipating we're going to see some signs of life coming back to the island. And I don't think they're even letting people back on the island yet. They have a re-entry process that's being posted. The end of the causeway was flooded. It was under about 6 feet of water, so people couldn't even drive on or off. You were, it's like the Magnificent Seven. Remember Yul Brynner telling Eli Wallach, saying, "These fences aren't made to keep you out; they're made to keep you in." Right. Oh, geez.
Well, today's no, I know it's. I hope you guys get power back soon.
Hey, Bill, you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm just grateful that it is what it is, because you know what? There's a lot of people a lot worse off, and that lost their homes, lost everything, and lost, some people even lost their lives. So that's why I'm smiling. That's why I'm happy, because boy, it could have been a lot worse, and I thank God every day. So let's talk about this show. Let's talk about Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. That is the fight of the year. It's the fight I want to see, and I'm telling you this, Bill, this is going to be a fantastic fight, as you suggested, one that we're going to be able to recall with memory and say, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And this may be the first of a trilogy. Who knows? But let's talk about it. Go ahead.
Thanks. Thanks for throwing me that softball, Sal. I mean, you did well there. You did well. I clearly think it's going to be a fight that will be remembered. There's no question about it. And when you look at this fight, and you know, the truth of the matter is we've been wanting this fight the boxing fans have been wanting this fight. I mean, this is going back a couple of years now, and we all saw, specifically up front and close, the business side of boxing and why this fight didn't take place sooner than it is now. And, when I bounce it off the wall, I say to myself, why? I mean, I understand the business aspect. They try to, what they call, marinate and get the fight, more interest, more money, more this, more that. But I think that the interest level was equal now as it was 2 years ago. I don't agree with the marination process in this particular fight. I think that these two guys were on a collision course. They proved that they were the best. I mean, Canelo went as far as skipping the middleweight. He wins the middleweight title, then refuses to fight Triple G when he even was a mandatory, goes up in weight to fight at super middleweight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And then, wants everything in his favor, making it seem like he's the smaller guy. And the truth be told, I mean, yes, Triple G is slightly taller than Canelo when you look at the height. I mean, Canelo is 5'9", and Triple G is an inch and a half taller at 5'10.5". But when you see these guys stand next to each other, especially in the ring on Saturday night, you're going to say, "Oh my God, Canelo is the bigger man." And all these years that people say, when we were trying to get Floyd to do a manly thing and challenge himself and do like previous fighters that are considered all-time greats did, and step up and fight a guy like Canelo, like Triple G, the answer was, "Oh, Floyd's just a little guy. Triple G is so big, he should move up and fight at light heavyweight or super middleweight." And I say to myself, no, because he's a small middleweight. When you saw him in there against, mediocre middleweights like Matthew Macklin and stuff, he wasn't a mediocre middleweight, but a guy that was a top 10 contender, you saw how small he was. I think that Canelo is the bigger guy. And I think that the only thing that he's, benefited from by making this fight last a little longer is, number one, I think that Canelo has gotten better, making this fight, make us wait for this fight a little longer, I should say. I think Canelo has gotten better, and I think Triple G, he's battling father time, Sal, and maybe the plan really was to try to hope that Triple G lost a step. What do you think?
That's hard to say, Bill. I think, I don't know if that was the original intent from Canelo's camp inside, as far as let's wait and see if he ages a little bit, a year or two. I mean, because, like I said, we're talking about a short span of time for a fighter to be at his very best. And I'd have to say that as Canelo Alvarez is approaching his peak years, I think Triple G is still maybe on the downward slope, but still in his peak years. And I think that he's still capable of showing us the best Triple G that he's ever shown us. And I think that's still in his heart, it's still in his mind, it's still in his body, it's still in his whole makeup. So I agree, this fight would have been a hell of a fight a year and a half, 2 years ago when we first started talking about it. But needless to say, here we are now. You have both these fighters, maybe on the Canelo Alvarez side, maybe they feel that the additional year may have slowed down Triple G. Maybe the last couple of performances by Triple G added to that confidence. I just think it will lull them into some kind of complacency, if anything. I still think that Triple G's got some great fights ahead of him, maybe 2 or 3 great fights in him. So this is going to be one of them. So here we are 2 years after the fact when it was first discussed and mentioned. And I'm just grateful that both fighters are here. Both fighters are in shape. And both fighters have that desire and the heart to win. So I think we're going to be fortunate enough to see one hell of a fight. And I'm very excited about it. Good, bad, or indifferent, sooner or later, it's here. So let's welcome it and applaud the both combatants.
Well, I disagree with you on what I had asked you. I think that Team Golden Boy, which is the promoter of Canelo, purposely waited for Triple G to age a bit. I'm convinced of it. Canelo wanted this fight. I mean, let's make sure we all understand that. The two fighters wanted this fight when we all wanted it. You know, I think that's when Golden Boy took Canelo aside and said, "Listen, you're a young fighter. You got you're a huge following. You're going to be a big star. Don't rush for this fight right now. Let's wait. Let's build up some more, fame and fortune. Let's make sure you're the A side. And, oh, by the way, while we're waiting, Triple G is going to be getting older. And don't forget, Canelo, you're only in your early 20s. And, Triple G is older. And no one knows that routine and what your body goes through better than Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya, experienced this firsthand from both sides, from when he was a young fighter and when he was, trying to challenge himself as an older fighter. So I really believe that this was part of the plan. I don't think that they were ever going to try to duck Triple G. I just think that they waited until the time was right. And I do agree that the last two fights, Triple G hasn't looked that great. And I think that Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo said, hey, it's time. And you know what else? It's time for a break. So hold that thought, and I will be back to get your thoughts, Sal, in about 2 minutes. So don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. I was in the chat room, and I know you guys can get to a lot of different places, different chat rooms from the different places we're available. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to spit out. But my man, Fat Apples, he's in the chat room. The one that we respond to is up on BillyCBoxing.com, and he's fairly new to the chat room, and he just ruffled my feathers. David Hay, not to even get off this subject, but David Hay, in my opinion, is a fraud. He always was a fraud. As a cruiserweight, he was a good cruiserweight until he had to fight Krzysztof Lazarek. And what does he do? He moves up in the heavyweight division. Now, granted, he captured a world heavyweight title. I'll give him that. I don't think he beat Nikolai Valuev in that fight. I thought it was a close fight. I think he won that fight because he stunned the big guy and won a decision. I don't think he won that fight personally. But nonetheless, he won the title. Then that whole episode with Klitschko, I mean, it just proved. And then his last fight, and my man Fat Apples is saying, that he would beat, right now, he could beat, Jennings, Ortiz, Wilder, I mean, come on. I don't even think Wilder is that good. And there's no way that David Hay beats any of those guys. He can't beat Ortiz. He can't beat Brian Jennings. Brian Jennings is a good fighter. Dillian White, I don't even think he beats White or Parker like he's suggesting. Listen, David Hay is a fraud. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't know, Sal. You don't really follow David Hay much. I mean, you were up on the on that whole fiasco with Klitschko. But what do you think? His last fight, he fought a puffed up light heavyweight who was a cruiserweight champ, and he lost. He got knocked out.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of David Hay, and I think that he's stretched and elongated a lot of his career, and as much as he can, and I give him credit for that. And if it's going to be a point in the career where he work around the issue, so I do agree with you on that, but I want to give him that opportunity, chance to get in the ring and show us really what he does have, if he does have that at all.
Back to what I really want to talk about, the Triple G Canelo fight, and before we went to break, I had disagreed with you. I think that they purposely waited in hopes that Triple G was going to age a little bit, and I do think he did, and I do think that Canelo will benefit. I think Canelo, because of the weight, I think when you look, and as much as I've dissected this fight, I have to be, and I'm a fan of both fighters. Let's make that perfectly clear. I am a fan of both fighters, but I honestly believe that Canelo will benefit from the weight. I think he has gotten better. He's still ridiculously in his prime. And Triple G, maybe he just wasn't up for the other fights or whatever, but he clearly has not looked that great, even going back to the Willie Monroe fight. I mean, he stopped Willie Monroe, but Willie Monroe was getting to him, at least making him look ordinary. And prior to that point, he was just destroying people. I honestly think Father Time, it was either this, Sal. Either Father Time is slowly creeping up on Triple G, or Triple G was losing interest. It could be either one.
Could be either one. And I do want to concur with you on the fact that, boxing is a business. And when you have a top commodity as a world champion or a top prospect, you're going to run it like a business. So, yes, I agree with you on the fact that Camp De La Hoya, this was part of their whole game plan and approach and strategy to make this happen eventually after a long period of time and not right away. And I remember on several shows years ago, we would talk about it, and I would tell you, or I would express my thoughts to the audience that I do believe in my heart of hearts that Canelo Alvarez was ready. He wanted to fight Triple G. And I said then it wasn't him avoiding the fight. I thought it was the promotion and the management team of Canelo Alvarez that was kind of making it difficult for them to get in the ring. And I agree with you 100% that that's what's happened over this period of time. I also want to say that if you want to look at Triple G, he does what he has to win. And if you want to look at how good he's looked, I'll tell you what, the last time I thought Triple G looked good was when he beat David Lemieux. And Triple G may not always look good, but he gets the job done. He's got some solid weight behind those fists, and when they land, they break you. Just ask Kell Brook what it did to his cheekbone or eye orbital bone, whatever it was. Just ask some of his other opponents. I mean, he fought some big guys. He fought some very top world-class opposition. And if he didn't look stellar, if he didn't look like a fancy Dan boxer and a destroyer in his punch, hey, guess what? He still did what he had to do to win. And that's what champions do. Now, I still think in my heart of hearts, as much as I do appreciate, respect, and like both of these fighters, I really do. It's hard to really side and want one of them to be the victor out of this because I do appreciate both of them for who they are. But I do see Triple G still finagling and winning and learning how to win and beat Canelo Alvarez over this fight. It may not be pretty. It may not be exact of what we want to see, but I still think he will come out the champion and will win this fight.
See, now I think that this fight is going to end up being exactly what we want to see, and I think it is going to be a pretty fight, meaning that it's going to be an exciting fight. I think this fight clearly will be a fight that will be remembered for years and years to come. It may even end up being one of those all-time great matchups that people talk about forever. I really believe it. I can't see this fight not being a memorable fight. I can't see it because the way the two fighters are, their personas alone, and then when you sprinkle in the talent level of both of these guys, unless I can't see this fight being anticlimactic at all. I mean, we wanted to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather for 5 years, maybe even 6. And when we finally got it, the anticipation was there. We all were excited. I mean, there was no question that everybody that bought that fight was expecting to see a fight of the century, and it was anticlimactic. The only memorable thing is that Floyd won and Manny made excuses. That's it. I can't even remember a round. I mean, it was just a snooze fest fight. And then to suggest that Manny won the fight afterwards with all of his fans saying, oh, Manny won. Come on. Listen, no one hates Floyd Mayweather as much as me, but he won that fight. There's no question. It wasn't even close. Floyd Mayweather won the fight. But my point has nothing to do with who won or lost that fight. My point is that fight turned out to be anticlimactic. And this fight, Triple G against Canelo, will not be anticlimactic. There's no way it'll be anticlimactic. I don't think so, Sal. But I do still strongly believe that Oscar De La Hoya convinced Canelo to wait. And I do think that by waiting will help him. Will it help him win? I don't know yet. I'm not giving you my prediction yet. But I think it's definitely going to make it more interesting than it would have been.
I agree with you. I think so that's what I was referring to when I said early on, how no matter how we looked at it, past, present, or future, this fight's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen at the right time when it was supposed to be. It could have been a year and a half ago, could have been 2 years ago, but it's now. And I think both fighters will be in their peak. And I wasn't suggesting that it's going to not be good. I just suggested that I think Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, I still think that Triple G will be the winner in the end, and he may not do it in a pretty fashion, but it will be a good fight. I think that it's going to be an ebb and flow. I think both fighters are going to bring their A game. They have to. And, when we talk about the three most impressive rounds in the middleweight division between Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler, we can recall it almost punch for punch. Recall Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. When we recall all the great middleweight fights I do believe it's not going to be seen 30 years from now, hopefully.
Yeah, you better get some tin. You better put some tin foil on your head because you're breaking up there in Area 51. Okay. But I tell you another fight. We showed it to all of our people that came for our get together. And that was for anybody out there that believed like I used to believe that the best 3 rounds, the best live boxing I ever witnessed was Hagler Hearns, the best 3 rounds I've ever seen in my life, until Sal and I did Billy C's Boxing Revisited, and we watched Gene Fulmer fight Benny Kid Paret, and that fight went 10 rounds of action like Marvin Hagler versus Tommy Hearns. I mean, it was nonstop for 10. Remember watching that fight? The first round was like, oh my God, there's no feeling out round, and then it just kept going and going and going. It was great. It was great. But anyway,
you're so funny. Those, those 10 rounds were the three times to that fight. You saw the Hagler Hearns fight throughout that whole fight.
No, I know. Hey, we're going to take a short break, and Sal and I will be back in about 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now. or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking of us, I'm here with Sal Rocky Senecola, who's still without power down in St. Simons. And, you know, I just noticed a comment by Coach in the chat room claiming that, you know, he heard that there's no rematch clause in this fight, which I can't see that. That would be the stupidest. I wonder who would put that in, because a rematch is advantageous to both fighters. You know, I mean, the truth of the matter is Triple G's going in there with the belts, although Canelo is swearing that, you know, he's the linear champion because he was never lost it in the ring. He was stripped of his title. And he's also the Ring magazine, which incidentally is owned by Golden Boy. You know, he's their champion. So the truth of the matter is who wouldn't want a rematch clause? That sounds ridiculous to me. I don't know if I believe that, Sal.
You know, I definitely can't see from both camps. I think that would be an oversight, to say the least, or not even a shortcoming on both teams to not have a rematch clause in that contract, because it would benefit each fighter. You know? I
know. I mean, that's my point. I think that I agree. You know, a rematch is 100% beneficial, you know, for both fighters. But I got some quotes. You want to hear some quotes?
I can't wait. I want to hear some quotes.
All right, Canelo Alvarez, who's labeled as the linear and Ring Magazine World Middleweight Champion, and just so everyone knows, in case you don't know, Golden Boy owns the Ring Magazine, so, you know, just take that for what it's worth. He says, I know what I have in front of me. I know he's a strong fighter. He's the most dangerous opponent of my career, but I'm ready for him and what's next to come. That's why we're prepared, and we're going to give the fans a beautiful fight. This fight's for you. This fight's for all the fans who have been asking for it. We know that in fights it takes two to tango. I'm ready, and you know what you'll get from me. Let's just hope he brings it as well. He says, I'm excited and happy that the fight's almost here. I've been focused, like always, with my training during this camp. I'm going to do whatever and use whatever I need to be one step ahead of Triple G in the ring. Without a doubt, when our fight happens this weekend, this will be one of the great fights in the history of boxing. Triple G will definitely bring out the best in me. This is a quote from Canelo. You know, no nonsense quotes. I mean, you know, it's one of the things I love about Canelo. I mean, he does seem a little pompous at times in negotiations, but I don't think that's him. I think, you know, I think that's the people around him advising him what to be and do. But I think deep down, this guy's legit. And I think that he does want to prove he's the best the way great fighters do inside the ring. You know, he doesn't want to run. He doesn't want to hide. He wants to fight. And that's what boxing is about. In my opinion, you know, the great fighters fight. You know, it's like a Geico commercial. It's what they do. Fighters fight, you know. It's what they do, you know. Cats ignore people. It's what they do, you know. But what did you think of his quotes?
I thought it was manly enough to say, hey, you know what? That was nobody else speaking but him. And, you know, I give him credit. I liked what he had to say, and there was no nonsense. It was right to the point. And like I said, this guy's got the mindset. He's the champion. So he's going to challenge his skill set, and, you know, which is the same thing you're going to see from Triple G. So that's why this fight is going to be a hell of a fight, and a great one for all of us to witness and see. Now, I like this quote. I like what he had to say. I like where his head's at, and I like what the persona is that he's trying to relate.
Triple G had some quotes too. He says, this wasn't like Canelo wasn't being ready. He says, it was Golden Boy not being ready. We have been talking about this fight for 3 years now. Finally, wow. Canelo and Golden Boy are ready for the fight. First step to history. Everyone remember this fight. It's the biggest fight of all. He says, this is more than a fight. It's a real Mexican fight. Abel brings a Mexican style to me. I love fighting Mexican style. I love Mexican food, and I eat it every day. I love Mexican tradition. I'm surrounded by it. I have many Mexican friends. I have Mexican blood. Seriously, just one punch changes a fight, a life. Just one punch. Canelo has power. He has speed. He knows me. I know him. My team has plan A, B, C, and D, and his team has the same. He's ready for short distance, long distance, a decision. I don't know. Who lands the big first punch? It's not a fight. This is going to be a war. I don't know. I mean, I believe that with him, too. I think that Triple G has been waiting for this opportunity. Now, whether he was forced to wait too long, like I suggested earlier, that's yet to be seen. But the truth of the matter is I think that he wants this fight just as bad as Canelo. And this fight will not be anticlimactic. We're going to get what we want in this fight. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko so far has been my fight of the year because of the significance it had and the division it was fought in, of course. But this fight coming up Saturday may surpass it, Sal.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I love the Klitschko-Joshua fight and for all it was and what it represented. But, I'm going to tell you, Bill, we've been talking about this fight for 3 years, so I am so excited. And this fight, to me, will be the fight of the year. If it's on paper and if it has anything or manifests itself in any way, shape, or form of what I think it really could grow to be. I think this fight's going to be a hell of a fight.
I have one more quote. Good. And I've glanced through this quote. I hope you're sitting down because you're going to love this quote as much as I do. And this quote, it says it all for me. And I know it's going to say it all for you. I shouldn't be speaking for you, but I know you're going to agree. And one thing I want to mention, that this is the exact hang-up. People always ask me, what's your problem, man? Why do you dislike Mayweather so much? And it's the same reason I dislike fighters that pound their chest after, beating up a cupcake and saying they're the best. I believe that boxing has a tradition. And I believe that all of the fighters that have come before the fighters today, and I'm talking about the warriors of yesteryear, what they paid, the price they paid to bring boxing to where it's at. I feel that if you're going to be in the ranks with all-time greats, you got to do great things. And doing great things, basically, this quote sums it up. And now this quote is from Abel Sanchez. This is Triple G's trainer. Now, rarely, when you guys hear me do quotes, there's quotes that you very rarely hear me give. And that's quotes from promoters and managers and trainers. And the reason why is because they're always rah-rahing their guy. And promoters are trying to sell tickets. Managers are trying to sell their guy. Trainers are trying to tell you how great they did a job training their fighter. But in this particular case, this quote hits home so much that I feel I have to read it, and here it is. This is Abel Sanchez. He says, and I quote, I have trained a lot of fighters, a lot, but I have never worked with one who was avoided more than Triple G. The special fighters accept challenges or dare to step up and make the challenge. It's the measure of a man. It's the difference between good and great. Ali stepped up against Liston. Leonard stepped up against Hagler. Holyfield stepped up against Tyson. These are fights and fighters that will always be remembered because they dared to be tested at the highest level regardless of the risk. Now, at least, we have Triple G against Canelo, a real Mexican fight. I give Canelo credit because he has always wanted this fight. I'm relieved that his promoter finally had the confidence to make it. I get chills listening to that quote because I couldn't have said it better myself. And the truth of the matter is that it's true. You know, you can dodge it and sugarcoat it any way you want about fighters that didn't step up for a challenge or go beyond, their what people think they can do and fight the bigger guy or whatever. Chocolito this past weekend showed that he stepped up, fought a guy way too big both times. You know, he lost. He came up on the losing end, but that's not going to be forgotten. People are going to remember that. You know, even in losing bids, when you make a challenge, your stock rises. I think Abel Sanchez hit it on the head with this particular thing. It's been my gripe. You know, I was never a humongous Sugar Ray Leonard fan until I was a big Hagler fan. And when he fought Hagler, how could you not respect him? I was never a big Holyfield fan. When he fought Tyson, how could you not respect him? You know, I was a huge Sonny Liston fan. You know, how can you not respect, Ali at the time, who was Cassius Clay, challenging him? You know, I mean, it's what the sport's about. And I love this quote. Sal, what do you think?
I think it was phenomenal. I think that is definitely, you just look at the substance in that quote and the heart, the passion, the sincerity of that quote. It summed it up, Bill. This is it. This is exactly what boxing, what fighting, what rising to the occasion and having the man versus man and battle it to the end. And there's going to be one winner's hand raised up. I mean, it sums it all up. That was a great quote by Abel Sanchez, and I commend him on that. And you know what? You can't make quotes up like that. You got to say it from the heart, and that's what he did.
You know, this fight that we're going to be watching this weekend, I hope that, the last circus that we all watched, what made it so successful, the exact pay-per-view numbers for McGregor Mayweather haven't been released yet, but I'm sure it's going to be very good. But what made it so successful was the fact that non-diehard boxing fans watched it. As a matter of fact, I think more non-combat sports fans even watched it because of the hype and stuff like that. So they did well. And then, of course, the MMA crowd, that crossover. I hope that some of these fans that are not boxing fans, that may be just, the water cooler on Monday morning kind of sports talk guy or gal that, reads the headlines or flips through the channels and picks up some scores or whatever. I hope they tune in because this is one of those fights that I think should be attracting all viewers, not just diehard boxing fans. And to be honest with you, Sal, I'm a little concerned about that. Yes, we in the boxing community all are looking forward to this fight. We all want this fight. We've been waiting for this fight, et cetera, et cetera. But I wonder if the non-boxing fan is even if this fight's even on their radar. Yes, it's getting some attention on ESPN, so to speak, but nowhere's near the attention that McGregor Mayweather got. It's not TMZ news. Do you think that we will be getting some crossover fans that aren't diehard boxing fans that will be tuning into this fight, that will buy this fight?
Yeah, I do. On this level. I think that, we did see a lot of the crossover fans with the Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight. And you had the pool was open for everybody to jump in. And they did. They took it and they enjoyed it. And I think you're going to see from some of the boxing fans that might have been palling around or buddy with some of these other guys that came in from the MMA arena world, saying, hey, another big fight, a real fight. And if you like the McGregor-Mayweather fight, you're going to like this. So I think you're going to see the unsung hero kind of thing, where you're going to see some of these fans crossing over. Not as much, but I do think you'll definitely get some that want to relive some of the excitement that they felt they saw with the Mayweather-McGregor fight. It does also question why hasn't this fight been promoted and talked about as much as the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight, because this certainly is the real deal that you want to see as a boxing fan, and as any competitive sports fan. I think you'd want to see this fight anyway. So I think the invitation is there for the masses to take, and I hope that we do get some of those casual fans, some of the Kool-Aid fans or cooler fans, and some of the MMA fans crossing over to watch this fight again. So we'll see.
I think it's been promoted well from a boxing perspective. But as far as, outside the boxing world, I agree. It's a shame. But, hey, speaking of boxing, another big fight is coming up in October. I mentioned Anthony Joshua before, and he's going to be taking on his mandatory for the IBF, Kubrat Pulev. And a lot of people think that Pulev has got a shot. As a matter of fact, we had a comment on one of the places where we have comments says Pulev will win this fight. I don't know. I've seen Pulev live, and I don't think so. But we'll have to wait and see. But Anthony Joshua feels that he has to knock out Pulev because he feels that he just came off a knockout win over Klitschko. He feels that if he doesn't knock out Pulev, he's going to be criticized. He says he's got no problem getting up for this fight, despite there's so many bigger fish to fry down the road for him. He said it's not going to be a problem for me to get up for this fight, despite stopping Klitschko in front of 90,000 people. He says it won't be a problem to get energized again. I'm a young man, and I'm far from looking to finish what I'm building. And another quote that I enjoy, Sal, because the one thing I admire about Anthony Joshua is, he's a young guy, but he seems like he's grounded. It seems like he does listen to the people around him. At least it seems like the people around him are telling him the right things, and he is listening. What's your thoughts?
No, I think so. I think he's a gentleman, not just because of his accent. I think that he legitimately is a sportsman. That's a term we haven't heard too many times in the last couple of years. He's a sportsman. He's a gentleman and a sportsman, and he's a combatant. I think he is great for boxing. I think he's great for the heavyweight division, and I think he is probably one of the best ones out there today. Is he unbeatable? No, I think he could be stopped, or I think he can be beaten. I just don't know by who. I think he's going to have a good reign as a heavyweight champion. I think he could probably lose a fight and regain a title. I think that's just the kind of character he is. I don't think he's unbeatable. And like I said, I think some of the he had with Klitschko, some of those points there, I think might have exposed his opponents, him to some of his opponents' idea that, hey, I can carry this guy, I can out condition this guy, I can do this, I just got to avoid these punches. I think he's going to be pretty much a destroyer, but I think he also will have his night of defeat.
The thing I love about Anthony Joshua is that he's he's a monster, but he's athletic.
Yeah.
And I think that he's technically sound, so, I'm looking forward to it. Before I take a break here, I can get everybody caught up with the NFL, Monday Night Football, kick off the season. They usually have 2 games, and they had 2 games last night. The Vikings, the first game was the Vikings against the Saints. Second game, Broncos against the Chargers. Well, the Vikings came out on top, 29-19. in what was a pretty exciting game. I actually stayed up and watched most of it. Sam Bradford, the quarterback for the Vikings, who, if you recall, was picked up last year after their starting quarterback got hurt, and it looks like he may even have suffered a career-ending injury. Sam Bradford had a great game. 32 attempts, 27 completions for 346 yards and 3 TDs, throwing touchdowns to guys that were considered a makeshift receiver corps, and they look pretty damn good. Rookie Dalvin Cook, he impressed me as well. 22 carries, 127 yards for the rookie. A guy that dropped all the way to the second round early on, was projected a first-round pick, and the Vikings got him. I think they got a steal with Dalvin Cook. If he can stay healthy, this guy is going to make all the difference. Interesting enough, the Saints looked good at times, but failed to come up and win. They lost 29-19. Now the second game, and by the way, Adrian Peterson was the running back for the Vikings for years and years, and ended up playing for the Saints. And they were showing some camera shots of him bugging the coach to get put in. I think that's a problem with Adrian Peterson. He needs to be that team. Like I used to tell the kids when I coached, there's no I in team, people. And I think somebody needs to tell Peterson that. The second game, the Denver Broncos topped the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. That sounds so weird. Weird. They're supposed to be in San Diego, and it's a shame that they bolted, no pun intended, on the fan base in San Diego. But the Broncos came on and tapped 24-21. Trevor Siemian, the quarterback, who was also Broncos were wondering who their quarterback was going to be. He was 17 of 28 attempts for 219 yards and a couple of TDs. And C.J. Anderson led the way on the ground, 20 carries for 81 yards in that game, which I personally did not watch. But the Vikings-Saints game I did. It was a great game. That closed out the NFL for week number 1. So kind of an interesting week. We know a couple of things about some of the teams. We know one thing for sure. The Jets, Jets suck. So they couldn't even beat a Pop Warner team. But, hey, Sal, let's take a break. And when we come back, I got some emails to read. And we'll even open up the phone lines because we could take a phone caller with you on the phone because you're on the phone. And we could take a phone caller and put him on the phone. So we could do all of that. So that's coming up in about 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Milberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. I think a little early. I don't know what happened to that commercial block. Seemed awfully quick. I don't know. That one day they kept looping around. I'm going, man, this is a hell of a long commercial break. And then this time it's like, whoa, I'm back already? What happened? It must have been the wrong button, Sal. Must be Hurricane whatever they're calling her now, right?
Maybe. I'll tell you what, Bill. This is the first 2 mornings I haven't had any coffee with the show and with me, period. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, we have no water, no palatable water. We have no, in fact, I just went to my refrigerator, which is lukewarm, and I had 3 choices. I had a beer, some water, and some coconut water. And I don't want to tell you what I opted for.
Yeah, well, I tell you, none of them sound too good except for the water, but lukewarm, I don't know.
That's the one I got.
We got some emails. And, by the way, the phone line, we'll take some callers, 845-228-8710. You will be put on hold, so, you'll answer, you'll hear us talking or whatever, so you'll know you're on. But we'll come to you once you're on. 845-228-8710. This one's from my man Jesse, and he says, "Hey, Billy C. and Sal. I saw the video where Broner punches a man just minding his own business. Why is he not in jail? I saw that security was talking to him after the incident, but then they just let him go. He should be in jail, and there should be charges on him." I agree. Maybe they're waiting to get evidence. I don't know, but he should have been arrested, Sal.
I'll tell you, it's just a sad display of talent, and I agree. If he broke the law and did it so with such contempt, he should be in jail.
If he broke the law won. Oh no, that's a different song. But anyway, I got another question from my man Jesse. He says, "Billy, can you explain how the CompuStats work?" Ooh, that's a good one. He says, for example, the David. Now, that's right. I remember reading Jesse's email yesterday. He was pretty ticked off about the Benavidez versus Graville fight. He says, like, for example, the David versus Gravelle bout, I did not see Gravelle active enough. I mean, David's face was clean. When CompuBox says punches thrown 38, landed 6, what happens to the other 32 punches? Do they count? I know it's subject how it works, but let's say it's true and they land only 6. Can we really give boxers credit for those 6 punches landed? I think I heard a trainer say you have to throw 100 and land 70. 40 punches are legit. Damaging punches 30 are stay busy punches to set up the damaging punches, and the rest are just air punches. Is that considered a realistic goal? For a fighter, I like for myself to stay busy. I'm a stay busy puncher, and I see fighters highly active throwing punches. I saw Graville not throwing enough and not landing significantly damaging punches. He was tired and throwing light punches. I don't know what people saw in a supposed close fight. All right, let me explain how punch stat works and why I am so against it, to be honest with you. I believe it's a good topic of discussion, after the fight. I'm totally against when they're talking about punch stats during the fight. He landed so many such and such punches in that last round, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the way it works is you have generally two guys ringside, and they each have a laptop with a program. Now, what you're supposed to accept as fact, and this is where my whole problem comes in, is that it's their subjectivity of a punch landing and how they score it. So they're counting the punches, and if it lands, now as long as it lands, and it lands, cleanly, they're dividing punches into two categories: a jab or a power punch. That's it. So if you throw a jab and it lands and it's a pitter-pat punch, and if you're using it to set up a power shot later, it counts as a landed punch. It was a jab. It landed. It counted. If you're throwing any other punch that's not a jab, they consider it a power punch. So if it lands, it's counted, okay? Now, here's where my problem lies. When you're watching a fight, and let's say it's Manny Pacquiao, for example, in his prime, the guy had blazing hand speed. I find it very difficult to pay attention to counting how many punches are actually being thrown and then seeing what landed. And, oh, by the way, you have to hit the right key on the keyboard to record that punch. It doesn't make sense that the accuracy is there. It is cool to go back and talk about it. Now, when they're looking at 38 punches thrown, 6 landed, in their opinion, 38 punches were thrown and only 6 punches got landed. That's where the stat would be. It would be 6 punches landed out of 38, and whatever that percentage is would be the percentage of punches landed. That's a subjective opinion. I could be watching the same fight from the same location and feel that 12 punches landed out of the 38 thrown, and that stat would be significantly higher percentage-wise. So it's a subjective issue. Now, if we took punch stats and they went back and redid them after every fight and looked at it frame by frame and actually scored it that way, I would think that they're real statistics. Or if you took the human element out of it, meaning the guy with the laptop, if there was a way to count the punches, I would refer to it as a true statistic. And like I've said many times, in the sport of baseball, you get up 10 times, you get 5 hits, you're batting 500. It's a statistic. I just was reading the NFL. Guy runs for 5 yards 10 times. He's got 10 carries for 5 yards. That's 50 yards, 5 yards a carry. That's a statistic, cut and dry. Boxing is not like that. And, it's cool to talk about the stats after the fight. Oh, he landed, 60% of punches, whatever. That's a great discussion. But when it comes to true statistics, to be calling a fight, to be a commentator for the fight, and Jim Lampley is one of the worst there are out there, that will refer to a round after the punch stats are submitted. He'll say so-and-so won the round, here's the stats, and he bases his opinion on those punch stats. So basically, he's looking for the guys that are counting punches to make his own opinion. It's very hard to try to look at these as true statistics, and unfortunately, a lot of younger fans, Sal, all think it's a true statistic, like a baseball or football statistic.
Well, you said it just perfectly. I mean, everybody thinks it's predicated on a fact. It's just predicated on one's opinion. and the facts are hard to really see and relate and be on the same page, because it's a subject to an opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely subjective. So I hope that explained it for you a little bit. Jess, he says one more question. He says, what's next for Kenneth Islam? Is he ready for a top 20 or top 10 fighter? How about possible fights against Soro, Vitu, Gallimore, Tony Harrison, or Kolke? Jack Kolke or Tony Harrison would be good fights. I do think that Islam is ready. And when you say top 20 or top 10, that's another skewed statement, because the way the sanctioning bodies work, a top 10 fighter, anybody could be a top 10 fighter in somebody's sanctioning body. A true top 20, computer ranking, he's ready for a true top 10, true top 20. But for somebody's sanctioning rankings, he's ready for a top 10. I like Tony Harrison or Jack Kolke for his next fight. I like those two. Good idea, Jess. Got another email. This one's from our man Joel. Sal, he says, hey, Billy C., I wish I could watch you guys live this morning, but I have to go get a checkup in the city, and I won't be able to watch, but I will watch the replay, and we'll be in the chat room and watching live tomorrow. Thank you. He says, but I have a question for you today anyway. He says, I was wondering what your and Sal's thoughts were on HBO announcing Kovalev's return fight in November, which is the 25th, against V. Srebranski. He says, do you think this is the right opponent to return against for Kovalev? I would have liked a tougher challenge, somebody like Sullivan Barrera. I believe both are promoted by Main Event, so it could have been an easy fight to make. However, I'm sure they're trying to position Barrera for a world title shot for his next fight. I don't know. What's your thoughts on Srebranski? Do you think that was the right pick for Kovalev coming off of his knockout loss to Andre Ward?
I don't know what to say. Because I was so unimpressed with Kovalev in that last Andre Ward fight. Not taking away from Andre Ward, because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. But the Andre Ward and Kovalev fight, the first fight was what I was hoping to see in the second fight, and I just didn't see it. I didn't see Kovalev really having that intensity, that fire, that passion, and that the believability that he's there to fight to win. I saw him quit. I saw him come up short, and once I see that in a fighter, I have a hard time rebranding him and reselling him as a favorite going into any fight. So if he's looking for lesser of an opposition than Andre Ward, he may have found it in this opponent, and maybe it's what he needs to get back some confidence and get back some kind of string he wants to put together for some wins. I don't know.
I think Srebranski's a good opponent for him. Honestly,
I think he's a good opponent.
I think Sullivan Barrera and Srebranski are kind of equal. Barrera has had some good fights, and he's had, he's come up short a couple of times. So I think for Kovalev, I'm with you with Kovalev. I'm just as disappointed in Kovalev quitting as you were. For a guy that and he was talking smack. Remember, he was talking.
No, I remember
smack.
He was.
I think it's going to take. To be honest with you, Sal, some fighters it takes a fight or two to get back into the mix. I think it's going to take a while for Kovalev. I think Kovalev made a big mistake talking smack, and the fact that he didn't come right after and try to take out Ward. I think that him looking at the referee for help and trying to cry about low blows and all those things that he did, he was just looking for a way out. I don't think he was prepared. And then to suggest that it was the trainer's fault, nah. In my opinion, Kovalev's got a lot of splaining to do, Lucy. So
he does. And like I said, from now on, he's my B side. He's not the Kovalev that he was going into the fight. So I think Kovalev now is going to be more of a stepping stone for these other fighters to beat and to move up. So we'll see. Because I mean, he's a great fighter. He can win. He could do this. But like for all the reasons you just mentioned, he quit. He was looking for some help there, and I once I see that in a fighter, I mean. It's like if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's got to be a duck, right? No.
That's what
I'm not going to give him my good feelings here right now.
He says, lastly, what do you and Sal think HBO will do or needs to do for their boxing division now that they seem to have a smaller budget and the loss of Top Rank to ESPN? I'm hoping they show different divisions and continue to bring in fighters that the American fans don't know much about to bring back a draw to their network. First of all, Top Rank may have signed a deal with ESPN, but the one thing Top Rank has always done is they don't close all the doors. They might have little feuds here and there, but if a fight was big enough, I don't think that they would hesitate to go to HBO. HBO has seemingly tightened up their pocketbook a bit, but I also believe that they do try to make the best fights, and I still think from that perspective, HBO is on top. Showtime has more fights are on the Showtime network, but the quality of those fights sometimes aren't that great, although we have been treated to some good ones. I like the competition between the networks, Sal, because what that tells me is that, as long as the fighters are willing to fight, the big fights and not, because what happens is a lot of these fighters want the big paydays, but they don't want the tough opponent, who does, so I mean, the truth of the matter is they're all trying to copy that blueprint. And I think that hurt the networks. They kind of jump in bed with one fighter, one big name, and hope that he can carry the viewership. And I think that the fans are finally saying no mas. And I hope that they continue focusing on making the best fights that they can, and I think the rest will fall in place. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, and we see definitely some good fights. I love what HBO did this past weekend with showing off the 115 pounders. I think that was a great showcase to show the young lighter talent and what it has in store. So I think as you just said, they complement one another. It's like a comedy team, or it's like any good team. It's the Martin and Lewis. It's this and that. They each are good on their own, but when they work, as a team, they're competing against each other. It helps them rise to the occasion. So I like it.
Sort of like the Billy C and Sal, right?
Absolutely. There you go. Perfect example. Whoa,
there you go.
hey.
Well, there you go. One more email. This one's from my man
Jeffrey.
This is from my man Jeffrey from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He says, "Hey Billy C, I understand that Chocolatito was nowhere near the pound-for-pound fighter we have come to expect. Possibly he did just age overnight, or more likely, sometimes these undefeated fighters lose their mojo once their invincibility has been challenged," which is a great point. I think.
Good point.
I think that I was thinking that I thought that because of the look on its face, but let me read the rest. He says, "Personally, I honestly felt that after the first fight, although Chocolatito found his way back with his overall boxing skill, he was way over his head in the sheer size difference." Now, you made this point yesterday. He says, "I know many fighters have moved up several weight classes, but much like Manny's last fight, they finally run into fighters that are too big and powerful, even immense skill and boxing smarts can't overcome. Chocolatito was much smaller than his opponent, and I believe physically he couldn't handle the power, along with not carrying his own power to hurt his opponent. Unlike many fighters, I'm not willing to write off this extremely talented... Unlike many others, I am not willing to write off this extremely talented fighter after this loss First, I'm never a big fan of going right back in against a fighter that had given you problems. Why not fight another opponent in between to get your mindset right and confidence level up? Second, there's no harm in admitting that you've gone a weight too far. I say Chocolito's management should get him back down a weight class, and his first opponent should pack a little less of a punch. Let's see what happens. But if he moves back down, I believe he will get back to a championship level. My biggest worry is his mental state. Guys like Duran and Hearns overcame these huge letdowns mentally and remained very confident in their skill set and power. I'm looking forward to this week going into the Canelo Triple G fight, and I'll be tuned in immediately following the fight to listen to the Billy C. Triple G Canelo post-fight show. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you for the email, Jeff, and it's a good one. And I appreciate the time you took in this. And I agree and I disagree. I think that first of all, I totally agree with the size difference. I think that he had gone up a little too much too quick. I blame that on his management and maybe the possibility of enticement with money. I mean, if you go up in weight, you can make more money, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the damage has been done. And I also strongly agree about the invincibility being challenged after his loss. I think that did weigh heavily on Chocolito. But I think more importantly, he was in there too big with a guy that was too big, and he was punished. And I said this on the show yesterday. I saw something in his face, even during his warm up when they had the cameras on him in the dressing room, that something was missing. And I don't know if it's the desire, the drive, or whatever, but something's missing. And for these smaller weight classes, 30 years old is like 40 years old. And he may have already aged in front of us in the previous fight, and it just was more apparent in this fight. As far as going down a weight class and easing back into it, when you reach a high level like Chocolito has, and it would be the same thing as what we said to Andre Ward and even Floyd Mayweather for that much. When you reach a certain level of success, and then all of a sudden you retract, you go back down a level, people are very critical of you, and myself included. And Chocolito, although he does have the weight class to go by, if he did move down in weight, I don't think just a tune-up fight would be that well accepted from the fight community. I think that moving down in weight and then fighting, an upper-level guy, maybe an elimination fight for another belt would be the only way. But personally, I think Chocolito should consider hanging him up. I see a fighter that's on the verge of getting hurt. What's your thoughts on the email, Sal?
Well, I thought Jeff was right on across the board, and I thought it was a great email. And what I kind of suggested yesterday was that Chocolito was over his head, and he should move down to a lower weight class, and then he should get a fight to get his confidence back up. And that's because, like I said, he went out with 2 consecutive losses, and I think him coming up with the game plan of going back to a lower weight class, maybe getting a tune-up fight, and then going back to the top dog or top crown there and regain a title there. I think that's what he needs to do if he wants to sustain a level of success and he wants to continue boxing. Now, if he just wants to walk away and roll in the sunset, he can do that. But I think, Billy, he's going to look in the mirror. I think he's going to still want to fight. And I think he's going to definitely want to come back. And I as Jeff suggested, I think he's going to do so by getting into the lower weight class and then getting an opponent. I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. Maybe I'm being a little hard on him. In terms of not getting a so-called tune-up fight. Maybe a tune-up fight. Off the out of the limelight type of a thing would be what he needs. And then come back. On a major network and fight an elimination fight or even another title fight. So yeah, I think that sounds reasonable, and it sounds like a smart approach. But, something that Jeff touched on, I don't think his management was looking out for him too much to begin with if they kept, having to move up in weight. Now, we do admit that those lower weight classes are only separated by 3 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever. So, moving up isn't that great, but he definitely looked smaller in the ring. Substantially smaller. He started out as a minimum weight.
Well, he did, and that's the whole thing. Again, these weight classes and these day before weigh-ins are so misleading. This guy coming into the fight could have probably been 15, 20 pounds heavier. You just have that ability, especially at the lighter weights, to regain and resaturate and regroup with 24 hours. So I think, like I said, I'm a big fan of having the same day weigh-ins. And as you suggested, these weight classes in the lower weights are only 3, 4, 5 pound division. And, you could do that in a day, Billy. I think it just takes discipline. It takes exact fact of what you want to do and where you want to be. And you know what? He could easily go down to the next lower weight class, get a tune-up fight, and if it's in his heart of hearts to continue fighting, then he should do so. I don't think his management served him well in giving him the opportunity or belief that he can go up and become a champion. I think after his first fight, it was a big lesson. And after the second fight, it definitely is saying, hey, you want to continue and fight, lose 5 pounds, go down to where you're comfortable, and we'll see what you can do in your next fight. That's it.
He just showed signs of a guy that,
yeah, he did.
Should be considering a health approach.
Well, and Bill, you're right. And like I said, if we all during our fighting career consider our health approach, I did that, and I walked away at the peak of my career at 28 years of age, and I did so because I wanted to have the kind of life that I'm living now, without any shortcomings or any second guesses. And I do sometimes regret walking away at that time. And I think of myself, would I trade it off for some of my peers that are maybe not as good shape today as I don't know if I would do that. That's why I always say the prize has to be worth the price. And when you're caught up on the level that he's at, and you're looking at the prize worth the price and the invincibility and all the things that are short-term ready to come your way, it's a very, very highly hard thing to deal with on that level because, he's only one fight away from greatness again. And that's the test. That's the tease. You're 6 months, you're 1 month, you're right there. And it's hard to walk away because when you do, it's like I hate to use analogies. You hate me when I use analogies, but it's like in a movie in Goodfellas when Henry Hill at the end of Goodfellas when he was in the witness protection program, and he's saying, "Hey, I wanted marinara sauce. I got tomato, I got ketchup and the egg noodles." And my life is just like another boom. I'm just another schmuck, whatever he said he was. Well, guess what? When the fight game's over and you're used to being on that fire, you're used to walking on those hot coals, you're used to that fine line, you're used to putting it all out there. And then when you're like a Ferrari, you're training, you're in camp, you're revved up, you're anticipating competition, you're there. And then guess what? When you pull that trigger, you retire. Bam! It's done. It's gone. The car stopped. The show stopped. It's nothing. Then you got to try and fill that void with something productive and something that you can really feel the goal and feel that anticipation, feel that energy, that fire, that same passion. And it's hard for a lot of these fighters to trade that off and find. That's why they stay around so long.
Yeah, sometimes they stay around too long, and it's dangerous, and that's my point.
It is dangerous.
Yeah, that's my point with Roman Gonzalez. The thing is if you don't have the desire and the burning desire, you start to make mistakes, and you can't make little mistakes. In football or baseball, mistake means you get struck out, or you miss making that turning that double play. Or in football, you're a receiver. You miss that reception, or you overthrow the receiver. You drop the ball as a running back. You make the wrong read. As you're losing interest. But in boxing, you have a slight lack of interest, and next thing you know, you could find yourself, not being able to walk anymore, because you were knocked out and landed on your head. I don't know.
No, you're 100% right, Bill, and that's why when you said several months ago, I think you hit it right on the head. They should take a fighter, and they should look at his MRI, MRA, brain scan, CAT scan, whatever you want to call it, and they should have it documented when he first got his license of where it was. And on an annual basis, he should sit with the neurologist, and they should look at it and just compare it. And if you start to see the shadows or the atrophy of the brain taking place or any leakage of the brain occurring or things like that, those are indicators that say, hey, guess what, pal? You're on this path. You already broke the seal. It's only going to get worse from here. If you continue in this course, this is what you could expect a little later on. If you have a consultation with a physician that takes the time and that can comparatively now give you the analysis of looking at pictures, you know what? You may find a fighter or two that says, you know what? I'm going to give it another year. I'm going to give it another 2 years. I'm going to give it another 6 months. Or I'm going to have one more fight. I'm going to say, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just walk away now. I think that's the only way everybody can make a well-educated decision, predicated on fact, not predicated on opinion.
No, listen, I agree, and it's not even. Some commissions require yearly or every 3 years or whatever head scan. But the most important one is the first one, so that the doctors can do a comparison, and that was my idea from a long time ago, and the powers that be don't want to do it because of the expense. But hey, one other thing I wanted to add, this fight coming up, Triple G and Canelo, a lot of parallels with these two guys. Obviously, the age isn't one of them because Canelo's 8 years younger. But when I'm looking at these fights, and even though Canelo actually has 14 more fights than Triple G, when I analyze the fights and I look at the fights and the fighters, they both now in all due respect, Saul Canelo Alvarez has fought 11 what I call top opposition fighters. And he went 10-1 because he lost to Floyd Mayweather. When you look at Triple G, he too has fought 10 upper-level opponents and won all 10. So when you look at these two guys, their careers and the total number of fights in Canelo's case it's 51, and Triple G's case it's 37. They both have 10 fights, 10 wins against upper-level opposition. I think that says a lot. I would like to see guys with 30 fights, or in Triple G's case, he's got 37. Canelo's got 51. I would have liked to have seen him fight more than 10 or 11 top opposition opponents, but at least they're even. You know what I mean?
Oh, they are. And as you were suggesting, I think Canelo Alvarez has fought more rounds. Gee, is that correct?
Yeah, 181 more rounds.
181 more rounds could be somewhat of a career for a fighter, another career. And let me tell you something. Don't think that doesn't take its wear and tear somewhere on your body or your mind.
Well, so, like we had said though, Sal. Remember, Triple G had a very long amateur career. Before he turned pro. I think he had close to 300 amateur fights. So. I mean, and Canelo didn't have that many. He turned pro very quickly at a young age. So
they do so in Mexico. In fact, they're developing as they start out professionally because they they have maybe one or two or a couple little amateur fights in Mexico, and then they seem to turn pro very young, and they develop in those early years, which Canelo did. But yeah, Triple G had a very extensive amateur career and a stellar amateur career. So, I mean, both these guys, they're evenly matched on a lot of levels, not just separated by the years. I think they both have the experience, they both have some wear and tear, but they both have the knowledge, the ability, the heart, and the passion and the fire to believe that they are the best. And that's why I think they're going to give us the best Saturday night, and it's going to be a great fight.
And don't forget, sell Canelo out. Great point, because they do develop their skill set early on in Mexico, and in his fifth pro fight, he got a draw. And by the way, the fight against Floyd Mayweather was a majority decision loss. So, and a lot of people forget that. They look at the fight as saying, oh, he lost to Mayweather, and, it was a pretty damn close fight. So, anyway. Hey, listen, we're going to look forward to tomorrow. Our Blast from the Past is on Winky Wright, Ronald Winky Wright, as per requested by you guys. So if you want to request a Blast from the Past, just drop me an email. Just like any other thing, if you have a question, comment, or concern, if you take the time to write me an email, I'll take the time to read it. Just send it to Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. We also scheduled to have Larry Hazard on the show tomorrow, and we certainly hope that we get you back 100%, Sal, because I'm sure the viewers are sick of just looking at my face.
Don't sell yourself short, Bill. They love your face, man. That's the face. That's the face of the Billy C Talk Show.
Yeah, yeah. It's a face, all right. Jeez, it's a face that now I know why tigers eat their young, but anyway.
Hey, that's funny.
Hey, listen, we want you guys to make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.